So we know America love everything supersized and on a grand scale. The Ford F-150 is a prime example of that. This has been the best-selling truck in the US for decades. But the question arises, can it be the bestseller here in Australia? Guys, in this review, we're gonna find out, is this F-150 truly worth over $106,000? And the question is, does it suit our roads? My name's Salvatore Durace, this is Exhaust Notes Australia. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss another time we make an upload of a truck like this. So unfortunately in Australia, we only get two variants of the Ford F-150. We only get the XLT, which we have here today, which is kind of the entry-level version. And then you get the Lariat version, which is the full-blown luxury bling version. Another thing to note, guys, is for the first time ever, this Ford F-150 has been completely re-engineered here in Australia, and specifically in Melbourne. I'm telling you, it's not just a simple left to right conversion. No. They have literally re-engineered this truck completely, from its headlights, to its door mirrors, to seat controls, to its wiring harnesses. Even the steering rack comes from a Ford Ranger Raptor, so this truck can suit our roads. And even the voice command itself is Australian. So what do we think about the design, or specifically the front of this behemoth? I am gonna say this, I'm a bit biased when it comes to trucks like this. I don't know what it is, there's nostalgia of driving such a massive truck that reminds me of when I was a kid, and I just love monster trucks. So I am a bit biased when it comes to these cars, or trucks, specifically speaking. So the design at the front, well, with the XLT, like I said before, this is the entry level, so you get like halogen lights, and you get a little less chrome at the front compared to the Lariat. But the front end of this car is very menacing. It's very, very present on the streets. And when this is behind you, it is quite confronting due to the sheer size and width and height of this car. You've got to remember, this is 2 meters wide and 2 meters high. And I haven't even spoken about the length yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's how long this Ford F-150 XLT is. It's 6 meters long. The short wheelbase is a little bit less, but nonetheless, it's a very, very long ute. So what do you get on the XLT? Well, you get these black plastic mirrors, black door handles, where the Lariat gets it all chromed out, and you get 20-inch alloy wheels, and you get a hard side step. What I do like on this Ford F-150 compared to its competitors is it's got truck elements to it. This little kink in the window here reminds me of the door and the window design where you see it on a semi-trailer. I really do like that. It's a nice little touch. But yes, it is a very, very long truck. One thing to note is that on this truck, there is usually a keypad here. When you don't have your keys, you simply put in a code and it'll let you into the car. Now this car's been re-engineered, truck has been re-engineered completely. But you'd think they'd put that keypad here, but it's not. Come. It's still on the left side. Why? What do I think about the rear design of this Ford F-150? Well, it's a truck, so technically they all kind of look similar at the rear here, but it looks good. I like how the Ford F-150 is embossed in the rear tailgate, and then you got your plugs down here for your trailer and a tow ball, because this truck does come with a 4.5 ton towing capacity. What I do like on this truck is when you drop down this tailgate, you press a button here, and there is a step to get inside the back of this truck. Why doesn't every ute and truck come with this? There is one manufacturer that does, and that is the GWM Cannon, and I know what they've done. They've just copied Ford, and you know what? Why not? Because this is a very, very smart thing to have. So what do you get in the back here? Well, you get a sprayed in tub, you get tie down hooks inside of there, and you get a width of just under 1700 millimeters. You get a depth of just under 550 millimeters, and you get a length of 2 meters because this is the long wheelbase. And you have a 710 kilo payload capacity, which is not too bad for a truck like this. So, engine. Well, here in Australia, we unfortunately only get one engine choice. And some people might be a bit discouraged to find out that it is not a thumping V8. It is in fact a 3.5 litre V6 twin turbo. But don't worry, this engine packs a punch. It makes 298 kilowatts and 678 Newton meters of torque. Sends all that power through a 10-speed automatic transmission to the rear wheels because this is the XLT. It doesn't have constant all-wheel drive like the Lariat, so it has to be driven in too high on the road. But nonetheless, it allows this ute truck to do 0 to 100 in just over 6.5 seconds. And that is very fast for a truck this big and that weighs 2,500 kilos. Let's address the elephant in the room, and that is fuel efficiency, because at the end of the day, you'd expect a truck of this size and this weight to be really bad on fuel, but it's not. And that's thanks to that gorgeous 3.5 litre V6 twin turbo. So it has a 136 litre tank. It will get you around about between 900 to 1,000 kilometers once it's completely full. And I was averaging between 11.5 to 12.5 litres per 100 Ks, which is actually not that bad for a truck like this. Okay, so we're inside the F-150. Now, what's it like in here? Well, it's big. Like, I can't ignore the fact that there is so much room in this car, and it is a very, very large cabin. What is a bit disappointing is, compared to its competitors like the Ram, it does feel a bit cheap in here. The Ram is a bit more luxe, and I understand that this is like the entry level version, and it's not, you know, the premium. But even with the premium, it's not as nice as the Ram inside. Nonetheless, things are where you would expect them to be. So, like, all the volume knobs are knobs, they're not buttons. So thank you, Ford. So your climate controls is a knob, your volume knob is a knob, your tuner is a knob. Everything has a purpose and is ergonomically designed so that when you're driving, you know where it is, you can touch it, you can feel it, and you don't have to take your eyes off the road, which I really, really do like. The dash layout, you know what? I can deal with it. It's nice, it's very utilitarian, and it's in its element here. It's where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be in a truck, and it is very truck-like. You do have some soft touches, so on the top of the door here and on the middle armrest, mostly where you're going to be resting, which makes sense. Comfort in the XLT. Well, you get these cloth seats, and now they might not look appealing at first glance, but they're actually quite comfortable, especially out on the road. They're just really, really nice, and they absorb all the bumps. You get a leather steering wheel, you get dual climate controls with, like I said, physical buttons and knobs, which is really good. But you are missing heated and cooled seats and other comforts that you would expect in the Lariat. But at the end of the day, this is the XLT, it's the entry level, so it is pretty well equipped for what it is. So every car has electronically adjustable seats, but not every car has electronically adjustable pedals. That is very smart when trying to get comfortable or get into the right seating position in any truck, ute, or car. Let's talk about tech. So in the XLT, you get an 8-inch infotainment screen and an 8-inch semi-digital cluster with physical dials either side, and you get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is actually really refreshing because most cars that I've tested recently all have wired CarPlay, which is quite annoying, and considering the price tags that you're paying on cars these days, it should be wireless. All right, so this is the point of the review where I usually talk about practicality. But in this truck, I don't think that's even a need. I'm telling you, there is storage in this truck for days. Like, there is so much room in here that it's ridiculous. Like, this seat, for example, is like almost all the way forward, and there's still enough room for someone to fit there. And then there's plenty of room in the back there to fit my daughter's pram behind this seat and having the child seat there. It's just ridiculous. Then there's just like the cup holders. There's 2 massive cup holders here. Then there's a huge storage pocket here. There's a pocket down here that can fit like 10 phones in it. Then you've got a USB-C, a USB-A port. You also got another USB-C and another USB-A port right there. Then you got another 12-volt socket there. Then you've got huge door bins. Then you've got a huge bin under here in the middle console that can fit my laptop in it. And then a ginormous coin bin. And then there's this, a workbench. I kind of actually really like that. I think that's really smart considering this is going to be used for tradies, and that is a very smart option. So in the Lariat, the gear selector is here and it folds away. But on this, it's on the steering rack, which makes total sense. And I kind of like that because it saves space and also pays homage to trucks of the past because they all have it there. But I'm telling you guys, storage in here is just ridiculous. Like the glove box, you got a huge glove box and you've also got a little one just above it. And then you got a sunglass holder right there as well. Like, I can't complain when it comes to storage. In terms of safety, well, you have autonomous emergency braking, you have a 360-degree camera, you got reverse sensors, you got lane departure warning, lane keeping assist, cruise control, and what Ford call the emergency assist pack, which is what happens in case of an accident, the car will call emergency services to come and save you, which is pretty cool. You also get Ford's Pro Trailer Assist, which is a really neat feature. So what it is that you control the trailer via a knob here instead of using your steering wheel. And it literally is very easy and very simple. All you have to do is use that knob instead of using the steering wheel. And you don't have to even worry about turning in the opposite direction when reversing a trailer, which is a really neat feature. Another thing is, it is a big truck, so it's got 4x4, right? So you have 2 high, 4 low, and a locking rear differential. And then you have multiple drive modes from mud, sport, tow haul, which is towing, normal, eco, and vice versa. And whatever mode you select, the car will automatically set the car up correctly. So if you put it in mud and dirt, it'll put it in 4x4 because it obviously knows that you're off-road, which is good for people that don't know what they're doing when going off-road. This is how ridiculous this truck is. If this seat was up, because my daughter's seat's there is enough room for you to completely lie flat in the back of this truck. It is just ridiculous. I'm telling you, to get comfortable in the rear here, it's so simple and so easy due to the flat floor. There's heaps of storage underneath here for, say, groceries, if you don't want to chuck them in the back there because they're going to go everywhere. And then there is just ample amount of leg room, knee room, and headroom that if you had to complain about getting comfortable in the back of this truck, I'll be throwing you out of the truck because it'd just be a stupid remark. Then you've got 2 cup holders here with like a little pocket in between them, which I don't think's for your phone. I honestly think it's for your ciggies. You've got a 12-volt socket, a USB-A and a USB-C port, and that's it. It's stupid. It's just, I can't explain how practical and how much storage is in this truck. It just baffles me, and you cannot complain about it. All right, before we talk about how this truck drives, I do have to cover up a boo-boo that I made previously, and that is, it doesn't have a 360-degree camera. It unfortunately only has a reverse camera. And we just went around the roundabout, and that's perfect because now I can explain. The only bad thing about this truck is its turning circle. So driving it over a week now, honestly, it doesn't feel any bigger than any other ute that I've driven, except for when you need to do a 3-point turn or you go around a roundabout at low speeds. The turning circle in this thing is horrendous, but you'd expect it on something this large, okay? The ride. Well, on the open road, it is beautiful. It's sublime. It's so comfortable. It just eats bumps up, and these seats are just so comfortable. However, off-roading, it is a bit uneven. It likes to bounce around. But let's be honest, you're not going to be taking this thing off-road. It's going to be out on the open roads, pulling a trailer or having a heavy load in the back. And most utes are like that. If the back end isn't loaded up, the suspension isn't the best, all right? The engine, well, look, this 3.5 litre V6, even though most people would prefer a V8, I'm sorry, but it is very fuel efficient compared to the V8s. I'm averaging between 11.6 to about 12 litres per 100 Ks. And it's just getting me way more range, and I'm not having to fill up as often. So I'm sorry, but it is a bit better than having the V8. Yes, there is that V8 soundtrack that we all miss, but I cannot fault this 3.5 litre twin turbo V6. It's very capable and very powerful. The transmission is beautiful. This 10-speed is smooth, it's responsive. What I don't like, however, is when you put it in manual mode, Ford has decided not to put paddles behind the steering wheel. Instead, they've decided to put buttons on the stalk, which is quite annoying, and I don't understand why you'd have that. It'd be a lot better just to have paddles behind the steering wheel to shift through gears. But yeah, like I said, the V6 is very responsive. Like if you put your foot down, there is plenty of power and torque to get you out of sticky situations, and it will get up and it will go. In terms of handling, well, look, you're not gonna be taking this around a windy back road anytime soon. It does well with corners, but it's not like it's not a sports car after all. It is a big 2.5 ton truck, sorry. But all in all, I honestly do like to daily this truck. It's comfortable, it's nice. There is a little bit of things here and there that will get on your nerves, but at the end of the day, it's not the worst thing in the world. It is what it is, and you're driving a truck, and it's cool. So I can't fault it for that. So what's my final verdict on the Ford F-150 XLT? Well, the main question we're trying to answer here, guys, and what a lot of people are concerned about is, does it suit our roads? I've been living with it for just over a week, and honestly, the only times that I felt like this thing was too big was when I was trying to do a 3-point turn, and sometimes parking. Other than that, it does not feel any bigger than a normal ute. I do like the fact that I'm driving something big. I do like being high off the ground, and it's just got so much presence on the road, and the feeling of just driving this big truck just makes you feel good. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a male thing, but I just honestly feel like this truck just feels really, really cool to drive. This is just priced over 100 grand. Ford Ranger Raptor is kind of the same price. It's just over 100 grand, but you get a lot more truck with this than you do with the Raptor. And honestly, this is a cooler truck than the Raptor. I honestly would prefer this over it. Would I pay just over 100 grand for one of these? I would.